My daughter left her baby with me one rainy October night, and then she vanished. When she came back 10 years later, she wasn't the same person who'd walked out that door. I used to wait by the window every evening, hoping to see her car turn down our street. I told myself she'd call, or at least send a letter. But years passed, and all I had left was a child and silence. I didn't know the truth then. I didn't know what she was running from. I raised Emily by myself after my husband died. She was only 7 when we lost him to a heart attack. I worked double shifts at the hospital, came home smelling like disinfectant and exhaustion, and still managed to make her birthday cakes from scratch. We lived in a small town in Kansas where everyone knew everyone, and somehow that made losing him both easier and harder. People brought casseroles. They stopped asking how we were doing after a while. Emily grew up quiet, always looking out windows like she was searching for something beyond the wheat fields and the water tower. She was bright. Teachers said she could go anywhere, do anything, but she stayed. After high school, she worked at the diner on Main Street, saved money for college that never quite materialized. Then she met him. I never learned his full name, just called him that man in my head. He had a motorcycle and a leather jacket and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I told her I didn't trust him. She told me I didn't trust anyone. Maybe she was right. When she got pregnant, he left, just like that. One day he was there, the next his apartment was empty, and Emily was crying in my kitchen. We didn't talk about him after that. We prepared the nursery together, painting the walls a soft yellow because we didn't know if it would be a boy or girl. Emily didn't want to know. She said she wanted at least one surprise in her life. Grace was born on a Tuesday morning in March. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Dark hair like her mother, eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. Emily held her for hours that first day, wouldn't let anyone else touch her. I thought everything would be okay then. I thought motherhood would anchor her the way it had anchored me. But something shifted in those first few months. Emily stopped sleeping. She'd pace the hallways at night, and when I'd find her standing over Grace's crib, she'd look at me with eyes I didn't recognize. The doctor said it was normal, just exhaustion, maybe some postpartum depression. He gave her pills. She didn't take them. We fought about that. We fought about everything. She started going out more, leaving Grace with me while she drove to the city an hour away. She said she needed space to breathe. I understood that. Being a young mother is suffocating sometimes. I'd been there. But she'd come back different each time, more distant, like she was slowly erasing herself. It was a Thursday night when it happened. Rain hammered against the windows, the kind of storm that makes you want to stay inside forever. Emily came into my room holding Grace, who was sleeping in her yellow blanket. Emily's hands were shaking. She looked at me with tears streaming down her face and said, "Mom, I just need a few weeks to clear my head. Please, just a few weeks." I took Grace from her arms. I asked her where she was going. She kissed Grace's forehead, kissed mine, and walked out into that storm. I stood at the door watching her taillights disappear down the road. I thought she'd come back by morning. I thought she just needed a night to herself. Morning came. She didn't. I called her phone every hour for 3 days straight. It went a voicemail until it didn't anymore, just a dead tone. I drove to every place I could think of. The diner. Her friend Sarah's apartment. That coffee shop she liked in Wichita. Nobody had seen her. I filed a missing person report. The police were kind but practical. They said adults have the right to disappear. They said she'd probably come back when she was ready. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Grace learned to smile, to roll over, to sit up, all without her mother. I put away Emily's things in boxes, couldn't bring myself to donate them or throw them out. Her room stayed exactly as she'd left it, like a shrine to someone who might not be dead but felt gone all the same. People in town stopped asking. At first, they'd approach me at the grocery store with concerned faces. "Any word from Emily?" they'd say, and I'd shake my head and they'd touch my arm and say they were praying. But sympathy has an expiration date. After a year, the questions stopped. After 2 years, people looked away when they saw me coming. I told Grace her mother had to go away for work. What else could I say to a toddler? How do you explain abandonment to someone who doesn't even understand object permanence yet? I hung photos of Emily around the house so Grace would know her face. I told her stories about how her mama loved butterflies and thunderstorms and the smell of bread baking. Grace started calling me Mom when she was 2. I didn't correct her. What was I supposed to do? Make her call me Grandma and then explain why she didn't have a mama around? I let it happen. I let her believe I was her mother. It felt like a betrayal to Emily wherever she was, but it also felt like survival. We built a life together. Grace and I retired from the hospital when she started kindergarten because I wanted to be there for every moment Emily was missing. First day of school. First lost tooth. First time she rode her bike without training wheels. I took photos of everything, kept them in albums labeled by year, thinking maybe someday Emily would come back and want to see what she'd missed. Grace was a happy child. She had my husband's laugh, this big booming sound that seemed too large for her small body. She loved dinosaurs and refused to wear anything but overalls until she was 6. She'd make up songs about the clouds and perform them for me in the living room. Every night, I'd tuck her in and read her stories, and she'd say, "I love you, Mom," and my heart would break a little more. There were moments I'd forget, moments where it was just us, and Emily felt like a dream I'd once had rather than a daughter I'd lost. We'd make pancakes on Sunday mornings and Grace would get batter in her hair and we'd laugh. We'd plant tomatoes in the garden every spring. We'd watch old movies on the couch while rain tapped against the windows. But then I'd find something, a hair tie that belonged to Emily, a receipt from a gas station dated 3 days before she left, and the grief would crash over me again, fresh as that first night. I dreamed about her constantly. In my dreams, she'd walk through the front door covered in dust, and I'd ask where she'd been, and she'd just smile and say, "I got lost, Mom, but I'm home now." I'd wake up reaching for her, finding only empty air and morning light. Grace asked about her father sometimes, but never pressed when I said I didn't know much about him. She asked about having a traditional family, why she didn't have what other kids had. I told her families come in all shapes, that love is what makes a family, not a specific arrangement of people. She seemed satisfied with that answer, or at least she stopped asking. The years moved like a river, steady and unstoppable. Grace turned 7, then 8, then 9. She started looking more like Emily every day. The same way of tilting her head when she was thinking. The same habit of humming while she did homework. Sometimes I'd look at her and see my daughter so clearly it hurt to breathe. I got older. My hair went completely gray. My knees started aching on cold days. I stopped waiting by the window every evening, though I never quite stopped hopping. Hope is a stubborn thing. It roots itself in your chest and refuses to die no matter how much evidence you give it. Grace was almost 10 when she asked the question I'd been dreading. We were making dinner together, spaghetti with meat sauce, and she was quiet in that way that meant she was working up courage. Finally, she said, "Mom, why don't I have a dad or mom like other kids? I mean, I know you're my mom, but was there someone else?" I stopped stirring the sauce. I looked at this beautiful child who deserved truth but needed protection. I said, "Because some people lose their way, honey, but love never leaves. You are so loved. Don't ever doubt that." She nodded, seemed to accept this, and we didn't talk about it again. But I saw her looking at her baby photos more often after that, studying the pictures where Emily held her, trying to remember a mother she'd never really known. It was a Tuesday in September when everything changed. I was in the garden pulling weeds and Grace was at school. I heard a car engine and looked up. An old sedan I didn't recognize pulled into the driveway. The door opened. A woman stepped out. She was thin, painfully so, like she hadn't eaten properly in years. Her hair was shorter, darker than I remembered. She wore clothes that hung loose on her frame. But her eyes, I knew those eyes. I'd looked into them the day she was born and every day since until the day she left. "Emily." I stood up so fast I got dizzy. She walked toward me slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal that might bolt. When she got close enough, she said, "Hi, Mom," in a voice that cracked on both words. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. 10 years of grief and anger and love and confusion crashed over me all at once. I wanted to hold her. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to know where she'd been and why she'd left and how she could do this to us. Instead, I just stood there with dirt under my fingernails and tears streaming down my face. She said, "I'm better now. I want to make things right. I want to see Grace." Better, the word hung in the air like a lie. She didn't look better. She looked broken in ways I didn't understand. There were scars on her arms I could see where her sleeves pulled back. Her hands trembled when she tried to put them in her pockets. She kept looking over her shoulder like she expected someone to follow her. I invited her inside because what else could I do? She was my daughter. She sat at the kitchen table in the same chair she'd sat in as a child, and I made coffee with shaking hands. We didn't talk at first, just sat there in the house where she'd grown up, two strangers who used to know everything about each other. Finally, I asked, "Where have you been?" She looked into her coffee cup. "Away," she said. "I had to be away." "For 10 years. "Yes." "Emily, we looked for you. The police, your friends, everyone. We thought you were dead." "I know," she whispered. "I'm sorry." Sorry, such a small word for such a large wound. I wanted to rage at her. I wanted to shake her and demand real answers. But she looked so fragile sitting there, like she might shatter if I raised my voice. Grace came home from school an hour later. She burst through the door the way she always did, backpack bouncing, talking about something that happened at recess. Then she saw Emily at the table and stopped. "Who's that?" she asked me. I didn't know how to answer. How do you introduce a child to the mother she doesn't remember? Emily stood up slowly. She looked at Grace with such naked longing it was hard to watch. "Hi, Grace," she said. I'm Emily. I'm your mom's daughter. I'm your mother." Grace looked at me for confirmation. I nodded. She looked back at Emily with curiosity but not recognition. "Oh," she said. "Okay, can I have a snack?" Just like that. To her, Emily was a stranger. She had no memory of being held by her, rocked by her, loved by her. And I saw that realization break Emily's heart right there in our kitchen. Emily stayed. I didn't know what else to do. She slept in her old room, which I'd kept untouched like a museum. She was quiet, almost ghost-like, moving through the house without making noise. She'd watch Grace from doorways, but she didn't know how to talk to her. How could she? She'd missed everything. At night, I'd hear Emily crying, or packing, or I'd wake up and find her sitting on the porch in the dark, staring at nothing. She had nightmares. I'd hear her screaming and run to her room, and she'd be sitting up in bed, drenched in sweat, gasping like she was drowning. She wouldn't tell me what the dreams were about. She wouldn't tell me much of anything. I found her one morning in the attic going through old photo albums. She was ripping up pictures, not all of them, just specific ones. Pictures of her from before she got pregnant. Pictures of her smiling. I asked her why, and she said, "That person doesn't exist anymore." The neighbors noticed she was back. Of course they did. Small towns don't keep secrets. They'd stare when we went to the grocery store together. They'd whisper. I heard fragments. 10 years. Where was she? Abandoned her baby. What kind of mother? I wanted to defend her, but I didn't know how. I didn't know where she'd been or why she'd left. She wouldn't tell me. She got phone calls sometimes. Her phone would ring, usually late at night, and she'd step outside to answer it. I could hear her through the window, her voice sharp, scared. "I told you not to call me." "No, I'm not coming back." Then she'd come inside shaking. Grace was confused by Emily's presence. She'd ask me privately, "Why is she here? Where was she before? Is she staying?" I didn't have good answers. I told her the truth as gently as I could, that Emily had been gone and now she was back, and we were trying to figure out what that meant. Emily tried. She really did. She'd offer to help with homework. She'd ask Grace about school. She bought her a stuffed animal that Grace politely thanked her for but never played with. It was excruciating to watch. This mother trying to build a relationship with a daughter who saw her as a stranger. One night, about 3 weeks after Emily returned, we were washing dishes together. Grace was in bed. I asked her directly, "Emily, what happened? Where were you?" She was quiet for so long I thought she wouldn't answer. Then she said, "I was protecting her." Protecting her from what? From him. The him, that man. He came back, I asked. She nodded, her hands submerged in dishwater, not moving. After Grace was born, he found me. He wasn't what I thought he was, Mom. He was dangerous. He had people. He said if I didn't come with him, he'd take Grace. He'd make sure I never saw either of you again. My blood went cold. Why didn't you tell me? We could have gone to the police. He had connections. He knew people. I didn't think the police could stop him, so I left. I thought if I disappeared, if I went with him, he'd leave you and Grace alone. Emily. I was with him for 2 years, then I ran. I've been hiding ever since, moving every few months. Different names, different jobs, gas stations, diners, cleaning hotels, always looking over my shoulder, always afraid he'd find me again. But you came back, why now? She pulled her hands out of the water, dried them slowly. Because I'm dying, Mom. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? I'm sick. The doctors say I have maybe 6 months, less if I'm unlucky. I spent 10 years running and now I'm out of road. She looked at me with those eyes that had seen too much. I came back because I wanted Grace to know I existed. I didn't want her to grow up thinking I just abandoned her because I didn't love her. I wanted her to know the truth. I couldn't breathe. My daughter was back and dying all at the same time. What's wrong? What's the diagnosis? Does it matter? She gave me a sad smile. I can't afford treatment anyway. I spent everything I had just staying alive this long. We'll figure it out. We'll get you to a doctor, a good one, we'll. Mom, stop. It's okay. I'm okay with this. I made my choices. I lived with them. I just need to know that Grace will understand someday why I left. That's all I want. We stood there in my kitchen, and I held my daughter for the first time in 10 years, and she felt like bones and grief in my arms. The next morning, Emily collapsed. I found her on the bathroom floor, unconscious. I called an ambulance. They rushed her to the hospital where I used to work, and the doctors confirmed what she'd told me. Advanced cancer, multiple organs, too far gone for treatment to make a real difference. They could make her comfortable. That was all. She spent 3 days in the hospital before she insisted on coming home. I don't want to die in a hospital, she said. I want to die in my room. Please, Mom. So I brought her home. I set up her room with everything she needed. Medications for pain. A baby monitor so I could hear her at night. Grace didn't fully understand what was happening, but she knew Emily was very sick. Something shifted in Grace then. Maybe it was the reality of loss looming, or maybe it was finally seeing Emily as a real person rather than an abstract concept. She started spending time with Emily. Not much at first, just sitting in her room for a few minutes, letting Emily ask her about school. Then longer. She'd bring her homework and work at Emily's bedside. She'd show Emily her drawings. She'd tell her about her friends, her favorite subjects, the book series she was reading. Emily would listen with such intensity, like she was trying to memorize every detail, store every moment in whatever time she had left. She'd tell Grace stories about when she was young, about my husband, about growing up in this house. She'd tell her about the butterflies she loved, how she used to catch them and release them in the garden. One afternoon, I heard them laughing together, actual laughter. I stood outside the room and cried quietly because it was the sound I'd wanted to hear for 10 years. Emily got weaker quickly. Some days she couldn't get out of bed. The pain medication made her drift in and out of consciousness. But on her good days, she'd sit in the garden with Grace. They'd look at clouds together. Emily taught her the songs she'd made up as a child, songs I'd forgotten. I was angry and grateful all at once. Angry that she'd left, that she'd wasted 10 years we could have had together. grateful that she'd come back at all, that Grace was getting even this small chance to know her mother. One evening, when Grace was asleep, Emily called me into her room. She looked terrible, her skin almost translucent, dark circles under her eyes, but there was peace on her face I hadn't seen before. "Mom," she said, "I need to tell you something." I sat on the edge of her bed, held her hand. It felt so small, so fragile. "I watched her," Emily said. "All those years I was gone, I wasn't completely gone. I came back sometimes. I'd park down the street and watch her play in the yard. I'd go to her school plays and sit in the back. I saw her first day of kindergarten. I saw her learn to ride her bike. I was there, just from a distance." "Emily, why didn't you?" "Because he was still looking. I couldn't risk it. But I couldn't stay away completely either. I needed to see her, to know she was okay, to know you were taking care of her." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "You gave her everything I couldn't. You were the mother I should have been. I'm so sorry I put that on you. I'm so sorry for all of it." "You did what you thought you had to do," I said, my own tears falling. "You were trying to protect her." "I was also running away," she said. "From responsibility, from fear, from myself. I could say it was all noble, but it wasn't. I was broken, Mom, and I didn't know how to fix myself. I thought distance would help. It just made everything worse." "You came back. That's what matters." "Did I, though? Or did I just come back to die where I started? Is that courage or cowardice?" "It's love," I said firmly. "You came back because you love her. That's not cowardice." She smiled weakly. "You always did see the best in people." We talked for hours that night. She told me everything. About the man whose name was Marcus. About the things he'd done, the threats he'd made. About the years she'd spent moving from town to town, always afraid. About the day she'd gotten her diagnosis and realized she was finally free because dead people can't run anymore. She told me about the letters. She'd written to Grace every year on her birthday. Long letters explaining everything, telling her about her life, saying all the things she couldn't say in person. She'd kept them in a box, never sent them, because she didn't know if we'd want to hear from her. "They're in my car," she said. "In the trunk, 10 letters. I want you to give them to Grace when she's older, when she's ready to understand." I promised I would. Emily died on a Saturday morning in October, almost exactly 10 years from the night she'd left. Grace and I were both there. She went peacefully in her sleep with us holding her hands. Her last words were, "Tell her I loved her. Tell her I always loved her." We buried her under the willow tree in the backyard, the one she used to climb as a child. Grace picked wildflowers and put them on the grave. She didn't cry much. I don't think she knew how to mourn someone she barely knew. The day after the funeral, I brought the box of letters from Emily's car. I sat with Grace on her bed and showed them to her. 10 envelopes, each labeled with a year, each filled with a mother's love and regret and hope. "What are these?" Grace asked. "Letters from your mama," I said. "She wrote them for you, one for every year she was gone. She wanted you to know she never stopped thinking about you." Grace looked at the envelopes with wide eyes. "Can I read them?" "When you're ready, there's no rush. They're not going anywhere." She held the box carefully, like it was made of glass. "Was she a good person?" she asked. It was such a complicated question. Emily had made terrible choices. She'd hurt people. She'd run away from responsibility, but she'd also sacrificed everything she had to protect her child. She'd lived in fear for years. She'd loved from a distance because it was all she could manage. "She was a person," I said. "She made mistakes, big ones, but she loved you more than anything in this world. She wasn't perfect, but she was yours. And yes, sweetheart, she was good. In the ways that mattered most, she was good." Grace nodded. She put the box on her nightstand, next to the photo of Emily holding her as a baby. "I wish I'd known her better," she said quietly. "Me too," I said. "Me too." Time passed the way it always does. Grace grew older. She read the letters eventually, one per year on her birthday like Emily had intended. I watched her understanding grow, watched her piece together who her mother had been. The anger came, then the sadness, then eventually acceptance. She looks more like Emily every day. She has her mother's way of seeing the world, that restless, searching quality. But she's rooted in a way Emily never was. She knows she's loved. She knows she has a home. Sometimes I sit in the garden near the willow tree and I talk to Emily. I tell her about Grace's accomplishments, her challenges, the everyday moments that make up a life. I tell her she'd be proud. I tell her I forgive her, though I'm not sure I ever really blamed her. I think about love a lot now that I'm older. How it's not always clean or simple. How sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away, even if it destroys you. How people can make terrible choices for good reasons and good choices that have terrible outcomes. How we're all just doing our best with broken hearts and limited information. Emily came back broken, but maybe that was the only way she could have been found. Maybe we all have to shatter before we can let people see the pieces. For 10 years, I thought I was keeping her memory alive for Grace. But really, she was keeping ours alive too. Writing those letters, watching from a distance, holding us in her heart even when she couldn't hold us in her arms. Love doesn't vanish when we do. It just changes shape. It becomes memories and stories and letters hidden in boxes. It becomes the way a grandmother raises her granddaughter as her own. It becomes a daughter's sacrifice for her child's safety. It becomes forgiveness and understanding and the slow work of healing. I look at Grace now, almost grown, and I see 3 generations of women who loved imperfectly but completely. I see my daughter in her face. I see myself. I see a future that Emily never got to be part of but made possible anyway. The house is quieter now. Grace is applying to colleges. She wants to study social work, help families in crisis. She says she wants to make sure no one feels as alone as her mother did. I think Emily would love that. I still have hard days. Days where I'm angry at Emily for leaving, for wasting time we can never get back. Days where I'm angry at myself for not seeing how broken she was before she left. Days where I'm just sad about all the ways things could have been different. But mostly I'm grateful. Grateful that she came back. Grateful that Grace got to know her, even briefly. Grateful that we got closure, even if it came with an expiration date. I keep the photo albums out now. I don't hide Emily's pictures anymore. She's part of our story, the complicated, messy, beautiful story of how this family survived. On Grace's last birthday before she leaves for college, she reads the final letter Emily wrote. I sit with her while she cries, holding her the way I held her mother, the way my mother held me. The cycle of love and loss and love again. Grandma, she says, she calls me Grandma now, has for years. Do you think she's at peace? I think about Emily under the willow tree. I think about the fear she lived with, the choices she made, the love she carried. I think about her last morning, the soft smile on her face. Yes, I say. I think she finally found her way home, and I think that gave her peace. Grace nods. She folds the letter carefully, puts it back with the others. I'm going to visit her grave before I leave, she says. I want to tell her about college, about my plans. I want her to know I'm okay. She knows, I say. Wherever she is, she knows. We sit together in the fading afternoon light, this child who became mine through circumstance and love. And I think about all the ways families are made and broken and remade. About how sometimes the people who leave us give us more than the people who stay. About how understanding is a slow river that carves through stone, patient and persistent. Emily left her baby with me and vanished. Then she came back and left again, this time forever. But in between, in that small space of return time, something healed. Not everything, not completely, but enough. Enough to let Grace know she was wanted. Enough to let me forgive. Enough to prove that love, however imperfect, however damaged, still counts. The willow tree grows larger every year. Its branches reach toward the sky and its roots dig deep into the earth. Underneath it, Emily rests. Above it, life continues. Around it, her daughter and her mother tend the garden, pull weeds, plant new seeds. And sometimes, when the wind blows just right through those branches, I swear I can hear her humming the songs she used to sing. The songs she taught Grace in those final weeks. The songs that carry on long after the voice that made them has gone quiet. Love doesn't vanish when we do. It just waits for us to come home. And when we finally do, even if it's at the very end, it's there, patient and persistent, ready to catch us when we fall. Emily came home. That's what matters. She came home and we were here, and for a little while we were whole again. That's not the ending anyone would have chosen, but it's the ending we got. And somehow, impossibly, it's enough.